Hi guys, it's Pat, your German finance buddy. Today I'm going to share a simple method that I use to evaluate the cost of my purchases. I think the guy who buys an iMac doesn't automatically lead a luxurious life. And the guy unwilling to pay $12 for lunch is by no means a cheapskate. Those two examples could even be about the same person. A person that evaluates their purchases the same way I do. Whether I buy something or not has nothing to do with the price tag. I'm happy to pay $3K for an e-bike or $2K for an iMac, but I'm very reluctant to pay $5 for coffee or $200 for sneakers. The reason for this is that I have two ways to evaluate my potential purchases. Before I buy something, I either try to connect price and useful life, or for recurring expenses, I consider the cost of different ways to get what I want. The price-time ratio is easy to calculate and perfect to evaluate one-time purchases like an iMac or sneakers. When it comes to coffee, lunch or other recurring expenses, I think about ways to get what I want for as little money as possible. Let's start with the price-time ratio. To calculate this, you need only two things: the price and the useful life of the item in hours. Many people decide whether something is expensive or cheap based on the price alone. Gucci sneakers for $250, cheap. Queen size mattress for $800, expensive. They forget to ask themselves, how long will I use this? Yes, a high quality queen size mattress for $800 seems expensive at first glance. But the average mattress lasts around 7 years. 7 years times 365 days times 8 hours equals about 20,000 hours. If we divide the price of $800 by 20,000 hours, the mattress costs only 4 cents per hour. In my opinion, that's pretty cheap for a good night's sleep. But what about that height adjustable desk for $1,000 or an iMac for $2,000? If you work from home, both could be well worth the money. Let's say you use the desk for at least 10 years. In 2022, there are 260 working days. Subtract public holidays and vacation and you will work around 230 days per year. 10 years times 230 days times 8 hours equals 18,400 hours. So, the height adjustable desk costs only 5.5 cents per hour. And don't forget about the health benefits. Since I've been alternating sitting and standing at my desk, I've had much less back pain. And what about the iMac? Let's say you use it for 7 years. 7 times 230 working days times 8 hours equals round about 13,000 hours. If we divide $2,000 by a useful life of 13,000 hours, the iMac costs only 15 cents per hour. A few years ago, while I was still a student, I had an old and slow laptop that I used to study and to start my online marketing agency. It was so old that it lowered my productivity significantly. I had to decide whether I buy another average computer or a good one. For a student just starting his own business, a $2,000 expense was a lot of money. But using the price-time ratio, I figured that 15 cents per hour for a high-end computer was cheap, because I will work more efficiently and my days would be less nerve-wracking. And I didn't regret it. But let's get back to these expensive Gucci sneakers that are on sale for $250. No question that they look good and attract some attention. But I already have 2 pairs of comfortable and good-looking sneakers, so I would only wear those new white sneakers when the weather is dry to keep them clean. Since it would be my 3rd pairs of sneakers and they shouldn't get dirty, I would probably wear them for only 100 hours. $250 divided by 100 hours equals $2.50 per hour. This puts the sneakers well above my personal limit of $1 an hour. If anything costs more than $1 per hour of usage, I delay the purchase for at least 1 week. This gives me enough time to consider whether that item is really worth the cost and to ask myself whether it adds any value to my life. For the luxury sneakers, the answer is definitely no, because I already have 2 pairs of comfortable sneakers. There are a lot of things with a bad price to time ratio that you probably shouldn't buy. In my opinion, buying the second or third version of anything is a waste of money because it adds little to no value to your life. For example, a second bike, a third suit, your second pair of winter boots, or a second TV set. You should also stop buying stuff to impress people, like some expensive rims for your car or a chandelier for your living room. These things won't make you any happier in the long term, nor will they add any value to your life. I also stopped buying things that I'll probably use only a few times before they disappear in the basement or a closet. I'm talking about treadmills, rowing machines, sunbeds, golf clubs, or kitchen equipment like juicers or food processors. In almost every household there are several expensive gadgets that are almost never used. In the past I've made this mistake myself and bought things that I rarely used. That's why I decided to stop buying gadgets like that and invest the money instead. If there is a piece of sports equipment that I really want and can't get out of my head for several weeks, I would buy it used. Because chances are that I can buy an almost new piece of equipment for half the price if I'm a little patient. On the other hand, there are quite a few things that are well worth the money. Personally, I'm willing to spend money on things that improve my health or productivity or that solve a specific problem. Most of the time these are things with a good price to time ratio. A good quality mattress that you use almost every night. A high-end computer that you use for work and that boosts your productivity and mood because it works flawlessly. Pots and pans to prepare delicious food. An e-bike that you use to replace your second car. A coffee maker that you use to fill up your thermal mug instead of buying takeaway coffee every day. I also ask myself, in what way will I use the item I want to buy? Because the price-time ratio doesn't make sense for all expenses. The e-bike and the coffee maker I mentioned a few seconds ago are perfect examples where I would ask myself, how would I use this item? If you treat yourself to takeaway coffee every workday, a coffee maker and a thermal mug would be a good investment. In the beginning you'll have to spend some money. But let's do some quick math on what you'll save in the long run. You buy a coffee maker with a built-in grinder to brew fresh coffee. Including the thermal mug, you pay $250. And we'll assume that both only last 5 years. Nonetheless, you will save yourself $5 on takeaway coffee on each of those 230 workdays, and you'll do so for at least 5 years. So in total you'll save $5,750. Compared to that, the coffee maker for $250 seems very favorable. Even if you spend $2,000 on premium coffee beans in those 5 years, you'll still save more than 50% of your money. Okay, now we will talk about that $3,000 e-bike. Let's assume my wife and I have 2 cars, both used to commute to work. My workplace happens to be only 5 miles away from home. Since the weather is relatively mild, I can ride my bike all year round. This is the perfect situation to sell the second car, which is worth, say, 10 grand. I would happily sell the car and invest $3,000 in an e-bike. Not only will my bank account grow by 7 grand, I'll also save on insurance, gas and future repairs. On top of that, I would improve my health and become a tough guy when I ride my bike no matter what the weather. Sounds like a win-win-win to me. So if you want to avoid unnecessary expenses, it's best to ask yourself 2 questions before buying something. How much does the item cost per hour considering its useful life? Simply divide the price by the number of hours you will use it. If it's more expensive than $1 an hour, you'll delay the purchase for at least 1 week. Be honest with yourself and think about how often you use similar products you've bought before. Like that treadmill you use only twice a year, in a good year. Also ask yourself, in what way will I use the item I want to buy? If it can replace something expensive, I'll almost always go for it. Buy a coffee maker to replace expensive takeaway coffee? Check. Buy a robot vacuum cleaner to gain some time to exercise or work? Check. I wouldn't buy that as either a student or retired millionaire with lots of time. But as a busy guy with lots of projects and ideas I want to work on? Of course. Because I'm always thinking about the value an item adds to my life. And time is the most valuable item we have. So from now on, you always ask yourself, how much does this item cost per hour? And is there a way to use it to save me time or money? Since I've been asking myself these questions, I've been making much better decisions. That's it for today's video. See you next time, your German finance buddy.